Actually on Bahia time.
Yes, and you can explain that if you've got the pipes for it.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. You know what? It says we're live, so I'm like looking at the thing that says end broadcast. Usually it takes so long to kick in.
It does.
Here we are.
Hi, everybody.
Hello. Welcome to Thursday Poetry with Poetry Sicko, Angela Yuriko Smith, and Poetry Freak, Amy Zoellers. And my cat's behind me if I know which way to move, which I don't. So you'll just catch him when you catch him, and I'll kind of, nope, see, I went right over him. There he is. Okay. Confusing. Well, all right.
What is your cat's name again? I keep forgetting.
What's the question?
What is the cat's name again?
Mantooth. After
Mantooth.
Beautiful Randolph Mantooth, who starred as Johnny Gage in Emergency, the television show from like, I don't know, what was it, like 69 or 70 to like 76 or something back in the 1970s. So yeah. That's our boy. Yep. And he's cleaning himself, making himself pretty for poetry. So there we are. So
I thought I was the poetry sicko today.
Poetry sicko. So what's new, Angela? Anything besides your sexy voice from being under the weather?
Oh yes, this is I've been working on this voice for a full week for this show. I mean, just developing it with like a little bit of fever and some coughing to get that true, like, you know, Willie Nelson effect.
Woo! I will fan myself. And you know what? Maybe I should just hold my papers here because that helps my lighting. Like Moses holding his staff up. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be sacrilegious. That's an example of that happening, but I always look so like flashed out. It's weird. My little junkyard camera tries to compensate for darkness, but if I turn the light on, it's worse. So
I think you look beautiful.
Oh, well, thank you. And so do you. And you sound sultry. The end. So, so there we go.
Too funny.
Yeah. Well, yeah. What do you think? Any words before we dive into poetry?
Just happy to be here. Happy. I'm glad. I mean, thank you. We have a new time.
Yeah.
And that's,
yeah. There's a get together this afternoon that I don't know exactly what it is because it was kind of set up after I had already left this open mic a couple of weeks ago, but they're like, hey, as I'm told that the instructions were included, bring Amy the poet, because there are other Amys as well who sing more than they poetize, and so I am honored. And I will be there. So I thank you, Angela, for being flexible with the time. But I think it also helped both of us because
it did
kind of thing too.
It did. Also, I would never want to stand in the way of any activity that referred to you as Amy the poet.
I know.
That sounds very important.
We were going home from church, and my husband's like, I was like, well, I'm gonna make whatever the thing is for dinner. I'm going to make it when we get home so that I can just throw it in the oven after I get back from that place but I got to get it done before. He's like, well, do you want to just wait till blah, blah, blah? I was like, no, I got to before poetry. You're doing that too? Oh, you're having lunch with your publicist. So like, I'm like this big deal now. So I get paid for none of it. And I'm also not a big deal. It's just that nice people invited me over and we've been doing poetry for, oh my gosh, it'll be 3 years in August. 3 years. Doing this
3 years. Yeah.
Look at us, gang.
This started it all.
That's
this
right.
moment, inspired by Amy the poet.
Inspired by COVID. And you know what? I will go ahead and bring it back to you because you started the open mic at the library that we worked at together. Yeah. And that everything got shut down in March of 2020. We did that on Wednesday nights, right? It was the following Monday. I went to work at the library and I was shelving at 8 o'clock in the morning or whatever. And at noon, they were like, okay, we're closed. I mean, they've been telling us all along the morning. It looks like Kansas City libraries were closed. The Kansas library, like the Johnson County and Johnson County and Overland Park and all that were closed. So we were like, okay, we got to see what, our people are going to say. And so we closed at noon. And after that, there was nothing. And so I just had seen people on Instagram do some little live things where they talked about ghost stories or whatever. And I was like, well, I could do that. And it'll be a way to read some poetry. And then I thought, Angela, it'll be better with Angela. Because if it's just me, it might just get bland. You know, if you listen to my podcast, you're like, no, it just depends. I'm not everybody's taste, but here we are. But no, it's because you had started the one in North Independence, and
That's so funny.
And I loved that. It was so much fun that I missed it so much after the 3 times I did it, because then we closed. But
I think we only ever did it 4 times because we had just started.
Yeah, I think there was one in December. I didn't start till January at the job, and they asked me, "What's the first thing you saw when you walked in?" And I was like, "Well, the lady at the desk was very nice to me, and I appreciated that. But I also saw this open mic night side, and I got really excited because I'd like to do poetry." And they're like, "You should come to that. We had one just last night, and it got snowed out." You know, and I remember like it was snowy at the interview. So there were 4, and one of them just was unattended because of the weather, and then it kind of got rolling, and then it kind of got stopped. So
I know, just as I got over my stage fright and felt like I could kind of like,
yes. Oh, that never showed. You always looked like you were just as cool as cucumber, and no problem.
Utter fakery and glamour and magic.
Sometimes we do kind of have to push past the nerves. If anybody out there likes to do poetry or anything at an open mic night, you really just, you can tell yourself, well, I can do this. Just read it through a few times at home and be like, I know it. And then, read it. That's what I love about at an open mic night, reading poetry as opposed to doing music, is that the hard part's done. It's written. If I read over it a few times, it's not as hard. But I did actually play music at the open mic last night, but they were somebody filmed it, and it was a total of probably 1 minute and 50 seconds was my whole time up there, because I'm like, I'm just doing really short songs. Instagram trained me to do minute-long songs, and so I thought if I do one of my short ones, one of my short ones, and then like a Romanian song that is short, because it's a birthday song, I'll do that, and then I'll be like boom, boom, in and out, and I won't forget the words, and I won't forget and so that worked out well because I didn't forget anything.
Yes, the internet has trained us.
It has. Thank you, internet. But anyway, it worked out in this case. I'll try to work up to longer things. Maybe I'll just be the chick with the short songs. I don't know. It's cool.
Yeah, I'm super excited to see this video. So,
all right, yeah, okay. I'll see if I can send it to you because I didn't take it. It's not on my phone. So if you have like Google Drive, I can send it to that.
I do have Google Drive.
All right.
We can even share it if the person who took the video agrees. We could even share it next poetry or at our not Cake and Hyperbole anymore, but our first Saturday thing.
Yeah, we could do that. And you know what? The person that took the video did also like some covers of some wonderful like 1970s television shows. And so if we can share that too, that would be super fun.
I think it sounds like a thing.
Yeah. All right. We'll see if we can get a little permission. So yeah, we'll see if that'll happen. Everybody vote yes in the comments, and then we'll see what we can do.
Yes.
I love it.
All right, what do you got?
I've got a poem from our friend Pete. I'm going to hold up Pete's book, What Appears in the Dark.
Yay.
A book of poetry about creatures in the night. If you can resist that. I don't know you.
Can resist a creature in the night.
And in poetry yet. So here we go. Vampire of the City. This is not included in What Appears in the Dark. But as far as I could tell, correct me if I'm wrong, Pete, in the comments. But I have it printed out, and so it will be and
on ebook.
It's on ebook too. So please, there are options to dive in to What Appears in the Dark. And this is Vampire of the City by Pete Kelly. Listening to church bells peal, thinking upon how glib they sound. So before taking flight into the night, a gobbet he spits to the ground. Burning with unquenchable thirst, the breath of life excites his appetite. This peripheral creature to all that exists, a shadowing silhouette in the moonlight. One among the throng of this city, she of an ancient profession, from a cafe window staring out into the abyss of human emotion. Squeezing her lips on the coffee cup rim, she leaves an imprint of a smile in crimson. Walking by flying gargoyle crackheads, below swaggering pigeon Valentinos, amorous with rooftop courtship, oblivious to what lurks in shadows. A chill intent swirls about, biting her bare arms and legs. Instinctual unease tells her to flee from the thickening darkness. From beneath From breath of shadows, sweat clings from fear, such a chill and exhalation to freeze a tear. Ripped from her mind suddenly the very thought of fear as thrust out a beastly hand clamps shut her trachea. Throat erupts with arterial spray as teeth cut short a cry. A hand punches through to her heart, massaged till death's sigh. Beyond now stare unblinking eyes, a reflected moon cut off to within, a penance sated and predator preens licking at its pale blood-spattered skin. With a great scooped whoosh of air, the vampire ascends into the evening sky. A victim of the city left behind is just another lost soul bled dry. Curtains sway to a sleeping unease, while a soul slumbers in dreams, a figure revealed at the window, perched concerned with her fears, it seems. Shadowy fingers stroke her pain, worming into her ears, burrowing deep to a mind where live past nightmares. Feverish hands of a dark desire about her body explore, to the ceiling stare swollen eyes past the face of her father. Piercing this perverted phantasma, a voice calls from inside her head. She rises through her father's image, evaporating as she leaves the bed. Drawn towards this siren's call through ear-oppressing silence, strangely allayed her shame and fear, a lifted weight from her conscience. Under a street lamp she pauses within an island of light. A blanket of mist around her whirls, quickening and thickening with might. Her outline fades till all is engulfed within a fog-like cocoon. Out from the dark the vampire steps, knowing a rebirth to be soon. From a screaming projection comes all from within, as fallen to the ground lays now empty skin. As the mist melts, a form emerges with stuttering steps of one newborn. Observed she is with a smile, as her senses study a body transformed. As in a ballet she moves in her new form, graceful in a rapture of release. And with a snap, wings unfold, giving flight to her found peace. The vampire holds out upon his hand. Her heart she knows she has lost, for without pain will never return a price worthy of such a loss. Wow.
Nice.
That is some deep story and
That is.
Atmosphere and mood. That's one I could kind of go, horrifying as it is at times. I could go and live in it for, a couple of reads,
Yeah, it's very pretty horrifying.
It is pretty horrifying. So nice work, Pete Kelly, author of What Appears in the Dark, which I have upside down and backwards. There we are. What Appears in the Dark. Creatures of the Night in Poetry.
Oh, that's mine as well. And on ebook.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, sometimes I check myself a little bit because I realize I'm smiling maybe too much for somebody's heart being ripped out. Like,
I
mean, horrifying.
Clutch the pearls. Yes, exactly.
That's how I want to go one day, having my heart ripped out by a vampire.
Show me my heart. Show me my desiccated heart.
Squeeze the blood dry.
I will be yours forever.
Because I kind of have no choice now because I'm thralled to you. But
That's right. But that is an interesting point of view. It gives another viewpoint. And
yes, that's the whole romanticism of death, which I was contemplating this the other day, like, what's wrong with me kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it kind of reminds me of that memento mori, where you carry around like a skull or something,
right,
to remind you how precious life is. Because that is kind of where I go with that. It's like, that would be like the dramatic end.
Yeah.
But how beautiful is everything up to that point? Really appreciate it now, because someday a vampire might rip out your heart.
You never know what's around the next corner.
Yeah.
You just don't know. And I was just hearing a song by the Smiths in the car called Cemetery Gates. I'd never heard it before.
Yeah.
I don't know a whole lot by them, but it was a great song because, Morrissey's going on about how he's like, thinking about how they, had their passions and lived and died. And I'm like, that's what I do when I'm in cemeteries. I can't get past the thing where they're at rest. All there was like the Vogue in the mid 20th century to put at rest on your gravestone. And I just can't help picturing them like I've been at times where I'm just like flailing and like the opposite of peace. And it's like, they're like, well, they're at rest now.
Yeah.
That's what I always picture. Maybe that's just too close to home. But, there was more to them than that. There was more to them. Like, that's why I love our poet, Leroy Smith, who put poet on. It's like one word, but it made us go and find out who he was and read his works to him and stuff.
Yep. And therefore he lives on.
He does. He does. I found another book we got The Fourth King, and then there was another one that I can't remember what it's called, but I found it and I bought it, and I probably paid more than I should have. I mean, I spent more than I should have. I didn't pay more than it was worth. I spent more than I should have in that moment.
Gotcha.
And that's why I can't look at when Google tries to tell me about poets. I'm like, no, because there will be one book of you're going to lure me in. There will be one book of poetry. It'll be friggin' $65. No. So,
you know, I almost wonder if we could find his family, especially because you're in Independence, and republish that.
Yeah.
Because it would be free domain now, I would think. But we would want to check and then give, whatever monies to his family. You know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't just be like, oh, it's free domain, let's grab this. But that would be an interesting thing to do. See if we can't republish Leroy.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know how long it takes for it to be free domain. I think his stuff was published sometime in the 1950s. So if it's 75 years, it's sometimes it's 100 years. It's different for different things.
Yeah, I think it's 75, but I was thinking he was like turn of the century.
Yeah, he was born, I think, in 1901.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
But at least one of the books I have, I think and I don't know if that's the first edition date either, but it's like, I'll have to look again. I know it's over there somewhere on the shelf, but yeah, it was sometime like 53 or something like that. So yeah.
So that's not ready yet.
Yeah.
But it would be cool to like go to his family and say, we would like to bring this back out, you know.
Yes, because we love the fact that there is a poet who, was around here and decided to bother to put so on his gravestone. Yeah.
Yeah. We feel we should keep him immortal as
much
as we can.
I do still have film from when we read at the cemetery. So maybe if we find that was from National Poetry Month. What did we do that in 2020?
I do believe that was 2020.
Yeah, I think it was too. And because I remember I'm like, oh, I gotta pick up my kid from school. And we were worried as we get there that we won't find it. And Angela just, gets a message from the cosmos to turn here. And there he is. That
was so weird too.
That was great.
I was so embarrassed because I remember just cutting in front of you, like,
you're like,
whoop, and then like going, oh, I'm sorry, I don't know where I'm going. Oh, here he is.
Something's pulling you. I mean, yeah, because we wandered for a few minutes. And I was kind of just happy to be there, but also it was like, I do hope we find him because this would be fun. And I got to go pick up my kid in a little bit, but it's like, man,
I didn't think we'd find him.
I didn't even think of it as anything rude. It was just interesting that you were like, oh, let's go this way. And then there it was. And that was a mystical moment. If you hang out with Angela, you'll have some mystical moments, or at least stories of mystical moments.
Yes. And Angela will probably be embarrassed somehow because I remember it as like, oh my God, I almost tripped you. I'm so sorry. I don't know where I'm going. What is happening? Oh, okay.
I believe
that happens to me sometimes.
That's really something. That's pretty cool. I love it. Well, what do you have? Do you have one to read?
Yeah, I'm going to read one from Nina that you shared with me graciously called Languishing. It is a longer one. I just had a cough drop, so I think I'll be okay.
Okay, let me know if you need me to take over.
Okay. Right. And I think we read this at one of our meetings, but I think meetings, whatever we call these, our get-togethers, our poetry get-togethers.
Yeah.
But I think she missed it, so we're going to read it again.
Yes.
Because we love Nina. This is Nina Dark Angela. Languishing. And I'm going to give her my best Willie Nelson for this. Yes. Languishing in a field of lavender, lying upon my back, I stare at a clear cerulean sky. I think of you. I think of all we have done, the things we have not. I think of all you have brought to my life and what I have taken from yours, all that has passed between us. I remember moments of laughter, tears of joy, those of pain, moments of unimaginable bliss, happiness never deserved, yet found, shared, cherished, languishing in a field of lavender, lying upon my back. I watch the gnats buzz, the bees flit about, the curious flies that have begun to swarm. The sky is still, the field quiet, echoes of sound exist only in my mind. I hear the remembered rustling as you walked away, your hesitation, your mournful cry. So brave, so kind, my understanding Savior. It was a world of anguish for you, but it was the only choice. Languishing in a field of lavender, lying on my back, my chest no longer heaves, my blood no longer seeps. A calm serenity has taken over my thoughts. A white cloud drifts by on my cerulean sky. A dog sniffs my hand. No, not yet. Let me watch the sky a little longer, just until my eyes cloud over.
Another memento mori for us.
I know. I feel like we attract that type of poet, you know?
Yeah.
Does nobody understand your poetry? Is it too dark? Then come to us because we will accept it with love.
Do you like a nice picnic in the cemetery? Come see us. Come see Poetry Sicko, Angela Yuriko Smith, and Poetry Freak, Amy Zoellers. And come sit by us. That's just all there is to it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We will share our mausoleum cake with you.
That's right. We will have mausoleum cake on hand at all times. So buzz by. That was beautiful reading, Angela. And
thank you.
Thank you, Nina, for sending it because we enjoy that poem very much.
We do. I must say.
All right. Well, I've got one that I wrote.
Yay.
Oh, back in my sad times. Okay. Well, anyway, let's do it. Right. It's called Prep School for Loneliness. I sense I'm being prepared for loneliness or death, I announce, perhaps rudely. Not that I often crow outside of poetry about my personal mysticism. The white pines outside the door, how they know me and gesture hello in their guardian height, their wind dance and love me through their cleansing breath, breathing my name. That time their discolored needles healed and vanished because I asked them to be well, confessing my need of them. My certainty that God, secrets unknown and bizarre beasts on land and sea, just for the mystery of it, as I used to hide cellophane-wrapped fruitcakes in bookshelves at home to surprise me later. I believe in the all too marvelous, the too marvelous of everything, carved by the artist of artists. Yet I do feel laughed at from time to time and shunned from the real and the gleaming. So surges the wave of aching, the smell of the gated enigma. Sad times in the past.
I love it.
Prep School for Loneliness. Thank you. It was from a collection I didn't try to write in a week. I've tried to write a book of poetry in a week, like Rilke. I lost all my consonants in that sentence. Let's just leave it. But I did sometimes they come, poetry will come in waves and and I was specifically trying to get to the friggin' chapbook contest. And so I started one book, abandoned it, and did another one. And I think this is from the second one that I did send in. So since I did not win, I will read from it.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so it was a fun project. And I was still kind of having bumpy roads back then. So as we do always, but worse.
Bumpy roads make for good poetry.
They do. I don't know what I'll do if my life is all happy. I'll just be getting poetry and everybody will be like, no, it's all right. You're too happy.
See, that's you can always borrow other people's unhappiness. That's one thing in the world that's renewable, it seems like, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'll do cemetery verse, and that'll just be a different topic, because we've all got, loss. We all will be dirt. What did Robin Williams say in Dead Poets Society? We are food for worms, lads. Someday we'll be pushing the daisies.
Yeah. So until that time, make the most of it.
That's right. That's what we'll do.
Which actually is kind of what my poem is about. As a nice segue.
We have that mojo. Okay.
And we do. This was one written for Nina Dark Angela's Ladies of Horror. Yes. It hasn't gone up yet. And I do read these early, usually because I'm like, I don't really have anything written or, except for this one. Because I have to, which is kind of the nice thing about Ladies of Horror.
Yeah.
So I'm going to actually share the screen.
Yeah.
There's the photo. There's my prompt.
Pretty.
Which I loved. So
I wish the moon looked like that for real.
I know.
I mean, close in.
Yeah. I was like, maybe by the end of this poem, you won't want it.
Okay, good. Terrify me. All right, I'm ready.
No, I just kidding. I don't think it's very terrifying. But it is called Wish You Were Here. Excuse me. Preemptive cough. What a night this is. The moon seems within my reach. I wish you were here. This silent night, I send you a final text as stars vanish, become insignificant, hidden as a full lover's moon brightens night to day. The ships, the cars, the never sleeping city we both love takes pause. We hold our breath and awaken from our hectic slumber. We have been dreaming of the next meal, deal, feel, hungry for the hustle, always needing more, craving, redeem, filling that can plug all our empty holes, leaking tears, sinking our ships, our lips confessing fears to no one but eavesdropping ghosts, traveling through our lives, living vicariously through our missed connections, our silent ships passing in the night. Lonely behemoths close enough to touch, but separated by politics, laws, rules, expectations, heaven swallowed in bites of obligation. We think ghosts cry for what they have lost, but no, caught in the eternal now, ghosts waste no sorrow for the past, but for us spinning out of control, spending our minutes like Rockefeller in a dime store. We toss our time like beads in a parade, gifts to the wind to fair weather friends. We leave our sloppy seconds forgotten on dank pavement, like tombstones on a dead lawn, grass all yellowed and mown, gone wrong, last dawn, so long. We hustled our time away, trading pearls for pennies, too busy, too bothered, too blind. So I send you a closing text in this final moment. Too little, too late, I know, it was just a first date. But in this terminal breath, blasted in brilliant moon, so bright it will burn away my future dreams, I smile, hit send, and remember that kiss. Hello and goodbye in a slip of the tongue. What a night this is. The moon seems within my reach. I wish you were here.
Mm.
And that is that. And that's, see, she's got a little phone there. So that's kind of where that wit is.
Yeah.
What if you just had gone on a first date and you found true love, and then the moon is going to crash into the earth? Like romantic, but damn.
Ain't it the way? Oh, but no, that was right. It was right on track with what we're talking about. It's like everybody wait. It's kind of like that moment in The Simpsons. It's one of the Halloween episodes where, like the French got mad at a racial slur, or a French slur, and like ethnic slur, and like sent a nuclear bomb to the States, and so like the big comic store guy is like, Aquaman, you can't marry a woman with gills. You're from two different worlds. And then there comes the bomb, and he's like, oh, I've wasted my life. Kind of like that, where it's like, yeah, we're all so busy, but man, the idea of you find something good, here comes the moon. And I always think of I hit on all these. Somebody had posted like a collection of little texts or tweets or whatever that kind of like were making sport of poets who are freaking in love with the moon. And I'm like, oh yeah, I wrote that whole chapter called Moon Devoured, where I merge with the moon for the sake of musing, having a muse, being my own muse, and like, it's true. I think the moon is like friend,
it is
a lover and a mystical whatever, and this thing that put there just for our delight, all these different things, and then here it turns on us, so that's a wonderful new thought, and a wonderful new perspective. So
the moon is like kind in a way, because like we can't really look at the sun, it's too powerful. But the moon invites us, and it controls the tides, and among other things. And, women are particularly attuned to the moon usually, and all those sorts of things. So I think that's why we're so in love with it. I mean, one of my favorite lines I ever read out of somebody else's poem, that I have borrowed this line a few times and tried to reword it. But it was, the moon is a silver sickle. And I'm not sure if I wrote that version of it or if they wrote that version, because that's how poetry is sometimes.
Right.
But the moon is like a harvesting, reaping blade, just like, whoo. Loved it.
Oh, that's beautiful. And I do like that. I like that tradition of how you'll read poems all the time that you can tell you like something they reference, you recognize from another poet that we all kind of like touch hands with as two in the line, of many long, and a long tradition of poets. And I think when we do a little referencing and borrowing and this and that, it just connects us even more. It just makes it so much more entwined. I love it.
Yeah, like trees, all the roots connect underground.
Exactly. So no, that's gorgeous. I love so much moon poetry out there that can't get enough anyway. So just keep writing them, everybody. I know I will.
Oh yeah. I don't think we can help it.
Nope. Has to be done. It must be. So I've been told that you write poetry because it's like, okay, I'm going to just use the vulgarity. What was it? I can't remember who said it. Was it Descartes or Kierkegaard? One of the philosophers was like, "Well, you do it because you have to. It's like taking a shit to make it sound pretty." It's true.
Mm-hmm. We must dump this. Otherwise, it sits in the head and makes us crazy. So this poetry is therapy.
It is. It has to be put outside of the body, whatever this is.
Yeah.
Whether it's Too Much Joy, which was a band. When I was in college, there was a band called Too Much Joy. And I'm just going to sidebar, Your Honor, say that they did a version of a song that I heard on the radio once. This was the number one song of 1974, which is the year I was born. And it's called Seasons in the Sun. We had joy, we had fun. I think Rod McEwen wrote it. And he did a lot of poetry, but also would release lyrics in books of poetry. But they were a hoot. But yeah, if it's too much joy or if it's sorrow or if it's fear, if we can take it out of us, handle it on the page a little better, and then you don't have to ruminate. It's in some ways it is like it's like a surgery almost.
Yeah. It reminds me of Dumbledore, the pensieve. Yeah. And he would take the thoughts out and he would put them in the pensieve so that his mind could be clear. That's what it always reminds me of.
Oh man, it's like
poetry is our pensieve.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it. Okay, well, I have one more called Tracks of Life and Death. All right. The song of home, the calls of crows, the driving trains and whistle blows. In bath of wind and bath of moon, a bath in stars among the tombs, a bath of ale and empty rooms. In plastic sheeted moldy hole, in bathtub tiles, a chambered soul. Scathing moon bright, scathe the mold, a train roars by in tonic gold. Libretto in the clouds of old. Electric heat, a lullaby, to soothe the shuddering nervous eye, a myrrh for those condemned to cry. Now brew the coffee, burn the toast, and still insist you see the ghost, and still insist you see the ghost.
I love that. See, that's one of those lines that catches me now. I really want to write a poem with that and still insist you see the ghost.
Okay, this is an old time school rhyme. I found it in a book of spooky songs for the band, for the ukulele or something like that. And so it's like a rhyme that, he hits his face against the post and still insists he sees the ghost. And then the Beastie Boys took it and said he busts his face against the post and still insists he sees the ghost. So that there you are, Angela, enter the long line of poets who have used that phrase. Become part of it.
That is going on my tablet of notes.
All right. Somebody has wandered into the room. Need anything? Or just, okay, cool. That's right. All right. Somebody just wandered in. You want to be on camera? All right.
Hey, yeah, come on. I think I know who that is. A poet of his own strength. Though I won't go on to embarrass anybody.
Not at all. Not at all. Mm-hmm. Well, do you have another?
I do. I'll get a couple of haiku because they're nice and short. These are old haiku.
All right.
I don't even remember when I wrote these. I remember there was photos to them, but I don't know where they are now. But I will read these. And speaking of the moon, it figures quite prominently in these.
Goody gumdrops.
And I do remember the reason I started this line of haiku is I was looking up at spider web caught in a tree. Sometimes they get huge.
Yes.
And they're like bigger than your body between trees. So I was looking at one of those at night and the full moon was behind it. And I got all caught up in this idea that this moon was caught in the spider web.
Well, yeah.
And then I was just like, I have to write a million haiku about this. So
yeah. One haiku will not suffice. That's only
it has to be a million. And of course, only one features that image, but then it's just fun,
It will grow from there. It just will. Mm-hmm.
So I will read that. That one I called 19.
Okay.
So I will not read all 19 of these because I also see 32.
Sometimes that's how it goes.
Apparently this was a thing that I was doing at that time.
All right.
So
Poetry
19.
ready. Okay.
The moon has been caught. Hanging she illuminates, despite the webs cling. Stars, and then I'm just reading a few. Stars up in my eyes reflect the universe above, cosmic stripes of life. Yearning, I try to fly, seeking to climb the night sky, but gravity keeps me prisoner. The seed of a star dormant in our heart of hearts. We see it in dreams. And then the universe reels, and I am underwater, my face in the clouds. And then the last one, I guess, goes back to the moon. Mm-hmm. In the sun, she glows, gold in her web of silver that hangs full of stars. And that is that. That is random numbers of haiku that I found in my old folders.
I love it. I love the inspiration behind it. I love that the moon was involved. And so, yes.
And that's like, the idea of that a piece of the stars are in us, and that is why we live. Yes. That was like,
stardust.
Yeah. I am, ever since like many of us, utterly fascinated with that idea that we are indeed cosmic.
Yeah.
We are cosmic beings. We're just trapped here from gravity, but our souls are not. And it's up to us to get them to fly.
Right. Ooh, good. Yeah. I love it.
That's probably that cold medicine kicking in. And like, so peace, man. Like everybody loves.
Yeah, man. I know. No. Yeah. I kind of, I get high in that way, just sort of naturally. If I think too much about all the great stuff.
It is.
Great plants, and they're medicinal, and the moon and the pines. I honest to God have a row of pines by my house that I keep mentioning because they love me. Case closed. They love me, and they breathe out good stuff for me and know when I'm there. It's this bizarre idea.
Everywhere we live, I feel like I have to have a tree, and it's like my tree. It's not on my property usually, but it's my tree. And I come and we'll give it water sometimes, or like leave gifts for the squirrels, or
on somebody else's property. I'm just watering my tree. It's my tree.
It's mine. It told me it's mine.
It's cool.
Well, I found my tree yesterday on a walk, the tree here in Brazil.
Ooh.
And for whatever reason, I've walked by it before, and all of a sudden it was like, I'm going on to the store. Oh, hello. I didn't notice you there before,
Well, hello.
I know. So now I'm like, oh, I'm going to go give some water to my tree. So yeah, I am that person.
I like it. If I ever see anybody watering anything on my lawn, I'll be like, that's yours. Yes.
Do you need a bench or anything so you can talk to your tree in comfort?
I've got some mausoleum cake in the pantry. Want to go to the graveyard?
Yeah. Now I do miss that, living in Independence. When we were neighbors, basically.
Yes.
Random cake on my porch, or cupcakes or marshmallows, all homemade, amazing magic that I'm always like, how did she even do that?
Oh, you can't not do that. It's so much fun, and my hands have to be busy or I go bonkers. So, well, thank you, Angela.
Absolutely.
Think that's all I've got. And anything else? Are y'all ready to chill out and go write your own poetry to the moon and find a tree that's your own, and maybe a rose bush or what have you?
Yeah, we highly recommend finding your own tree
and talking to it, because they like it
poetry.
They like it. Mm-hmm.
And this is actually scientific. They know that plants now have a voice. They can communicate.
And that they're kind of like there's a strong theory out there that they're aware of your comings and goings. Yeah. When I heard that, I'm like, that changes everything. The pines do love me. So
they really do. They really are communicating love to you.
We're brothers and sisters because God made us all. That's like, that's my viewpoint.
Yeah. And I just insert the word creator or force, and it's the same story.
Whatever brought it all together, we're related.
Exactly. So. I believe that as well.
And on that hippy dippery, which I love. Well, this has been a pleasure, Angela, as always. And hey, so what's next? What's coming up on the former Cake and Hyperbole, but now you do all these really cool interviews on Exercise Your Rights, first Saturday of the month.
Right. I know Alma Katsu is going to be on this weekend.
Cool.
That's a pre-recorded show, thank goodness, because I don't think my voice would be
Nice.
maybe back. And then we may have Ai Zhang doing an AI write-off again, because we did that once before. And then you and I are going to be doing poetry with Linda Addison.
I'm looking forward to that. You have told me so much about, I need to research her before we do this, but I know you have already told me like exercises that, like the one where you do the opposites. You told me that you heard that from her, and I've used it, and it's great.
She's amazing. She is like a force of poetry,
just living and
amazing person. Yeah, you're gonna love her. She'll love you. Same souls, like we're all fragments of the same kind of
star stuff.
That weirdo poetry soul that we all keep chipping off of.
That's right. Who's ever up there with the poetry block, we're all just shedding from it. Exactly. That's great. I'm looking forward to it.
But yeah, I'm super excited. And I will be able to speak clearly, I hope.
Yes. Go drink some tea. New podcast in A minor coming out on Wednesday. I've already done it. Yay. I've not been this far ahead since like last fall. So huzzah.
Wow, that's awesome.
So yeah. All right. Well, enjoy the rest of your weekend world. And we will see you in our various endeavors. And we'll be back here next month.
Yep. More of this poetry.
That's right. All right. Go out there and get some poetry freakery going on. I said it. All right. I'm just going to stand by that. Okay. Bye. We'll see you next time. And